What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs and features of the Apple iPad Air 2 to the Google Nexus 9. So we had the official Apple event today where they announced the Apple iPad Air 2 as well as the iPad Mini 3. And Google did something a little bit surprising, and they announced the Google Nexus 9 yesterday as well as the Google Nexus 6. So just the day before, deliberately competing with Apple here and trying to get hold of that tablet market share. But what are the key differences between these two devices? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out. So starting off with the difference in screen sizes, the Google Nexus 9 has an 8.9 inch screen, so almost 9 inches, whereas the iPad Air 2 has a 9.7 inch screen. So this is the same size as previous iPads. With the Google Nexus 9, they've gone for sort of a mid-range size here, so not too big, not too small. So it's comfortably in between the iPad Mini as well as the iPad Air. So right in between that sort of spot that they are going for here. So you do have a larger screen on the iPad Air 2. Resolution wise, they are exactly the same, so that's 2048 by 1536 pixels, and this is at a 4:3 ratio. So this is interesting to see, an interesting move from Google. Traditionally we've had 16:9 resolutions for the Nexus 10 as well as the Nexus 7, but they have now gone for the 4:3 ratio that we've got on the Apple iPad Air. Now in terms of the PPI, because of that slight difference in the sizes of the screens, you've got 281 PPI on the Nexus 9. On the iPad Air 2, you've got roughly about 264 PPI. So you've got a slight edge here in terms of the PPI on the Nexus 9. Nothing really in between them. You're not going to really notice much of a difference at that resolution. Both of them have a great resolution higher than 1080p HD. Now the difference in screen sizes also goes towards the difference in sizes of the devices. The iPad Air 2 does come in slightly larger in terms of the height and the width. It's roughly about 11.8 millimeters larger in terms of the height and around about 15.8 millimeters larger in terms of the width. So it is considerably larger compared to the Google Nexus 9. So you are getting that larger screen, but the bezels are a little bit large here on the iPad Air 2. So you are going to have a larger device, which you're not going to be able to get your hands around. Whereas with the Google Nexus 9, you may be able to do that. Now the thickness, however, the Google Nexus 9 is 1.8 millimeters thicker compared to the iPad Air 2, and that's because the iPad Air 2 is just 6.1 millimeters thin, which is absolutely insane. This is the thinnest tablet in the world. And it's crazy how they've managed to do this on a tablet. Yes, people are going to be talking about bendgate and how this thin device may get bent, but you're not going to be putting it in your pocket or anything. So I don't think this is something to be concerned about. Having a device that thin is absolutely great. Now the overall smaller size of the Google Nexus 9 also goes towards a smaller weight. So you've got 12 grams less here on the Google Nexus 9. Not really much between them two. And both of these actually have a premium build, I would say. With the Apple iPad Air 2, they've gone for that unibody metal design. So this is something we're used to seeing from the previous generations. And it's definitely a solid build. And you've got it in also gold this time around, which we've not had previously. Now with the Google Nexus 9, they've gone for a metal frame. So you've got metal frame with a plastic back. Now this has been made by HTC. Now HTC are known for the manufacturing quality of their devices. So I would say both of these have quite a good and premium build. This will come down to your personal preference. Now looking at the internals, so the processors with the iPad Air 2, you've got the Apple A8X chip. Now the clock speed they've not fully specified. You're looking at roughly about 1.3 gigahertz dual core, whereas on the Nexus 9 you've got a quad core 2.3 gigahertz processor, which is the NVIDIA Tegra K1. Now both of these are 64-bit, so this is great to see. Now Apple have done this from the previous generation with the A7 chips, but this is the first time any Android device has had 64-bit technology. So this is really great to see that we've got 64-bit technology. Apps are not going to be able to fully utilize this as yet, but as new apps come out to fully take advantage of this, it's a great starting step. Now in terms of the RAM, you've got 1 gigabytes of RAM on the iPad Air 2. On the Google Nexus 9, you've got 2 gigabytes of RAM, so you do have a little bit more RAM here, which is going to be useful for your multitasking. Now in terms of the different storage versions available with the Google Nexus 9, you've got either 16 or 32 gigabyte storage versions. Now that's for Wi-Fi. The cellular version is only going to have 32 gigabytes, so if you want the Wi-Fi and cellular version, it is just the 32 gig version. Now with the iPad Air 2, they've gone for 16, 64 and 128 gig, both for Wi-Fi and cellular versions. Now this is the same thing that they did with the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, where they got rid of the 32 gig version, and they've just got straight to 64 gig. We would have liked if they went straight to 32 instead of from 16, but they've not done this. So we have a few more options here in terms of the different storage versions available on the iPad Air 2. Neither of these have expandable storage. Now, looking at the cameras, both of these have an 8 megapixel array facing camera, both capable of filming 1080p HD, and they both also have the same aperture 2.4. The advantage that you've got with the Apple iPad Air 2 is that you've got slow motion, so you've got 720p at 120 frames a second. Now, this is something which was absolutely great on the iPhone 5S, and now they've got 240 frames a second on the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus, but the iPad Air 2 does come with this slow motion feature. Now, I'm personally not somebody that would use my tablet to take pictures or video anyway, but that's there if you want to use it. The Google Nexus 9 does have an LED flash, so if you do want to get something in very low light, that's an advantage that you have here. The front facing cameras, you've got 1.2 megapixel front facing camera on the Apple iPad Air 2. On the Nexus 9, you've got 1.6 megapixel front facing camera. Both of these are capable of filming 720p HD. However, with the iPad Air 2, you do have a lower aperture, so that's 2.2 aperture compared to the 2.4 aperture on the Google Nexus 9. So in terms of your low light shots from your front facing camera, it is going to be a little bit better on the iPad Air 2. Now, moving on to the operating systems, you've got Android versus iOS here. You've got the latest version, so you've got 8.1 on the iPad Air 2. On the Google Nexus 9 is going to come out the box with version 5 of Android, which is Lollipop. So you are going to be getting the latest versions directly from the company. So you're going to be getting it directly from Apple and directly from Google, all of the updates, which is great for both of these devices because you're going to have that stock experience. In terms of which one is better, it does come down to personal preference. Now, looking at some additional features that both of these offer, the Google Nexus 9 comes with dual front-facing speakers with HTC boom sound. So this is something that's really great for immersive sound, and on a tablet this is something that you'll probably be using quite a bit if you're going to be watching videos and things. So having those front-facing speakers is absolutely great, and HTC are definitely known for that sound. They really do put a lot of effort into creating some high-quality sound on their devices. With the iPad Air 2, you've just got the standard bottom-facing speaker that you've had on previous devices, so it's not the same experience that you're going to be getting. But on the iPad Air 2, you do have Touch ID, so this is the fingerprint scanner on the home button. This is something that I would have thought that they would have included from the iPad Air 1, but they've introduced it now on the iPad Air 2, which is absolutely great. This is probably the best fingerprint reading technology that you've got on any device out there at the moment. It's absolutely great, works brilliantly on the iPhone 6, on the iPhone 6 Plus, on the iPhone 5S, and it's great to see that they've incorporated this now with the iPad Air 2. Now, in terms of the batteries, with the Google Nexus 9, you've got a 6,700 milliamp battery. With the iPad Air 2, they've not actually specified the exact size of the battery. It is smaller compared to the iPad Air initially because it is the smaller size device, just 6.1 millimeters thick. They are claiming roughly about 10 hours of usage on both devices, so you are expected to have roughly about the same amount of usage out of these. With these tablets, previous versions have been absolutely great in giving you a full day of heavy usage, maybe 2 days of heavy usage, and maybe a week of light usage as well. So this is something that I don't think you have to worry too much about in both devices. Now, finally, looking at the price, so looking at the base 16GB Wi-Fi only versions, this is just to see the difference in value between both of these devices. The Google Nexus 9 is going to be coming out at $399. Now, in the UK, they've not confirmed the pricing, but you can expect roughly about £339. Now, with the iPad Air 2, you've got the standard pricing structure that you've had with previous iPads, so it's $499 or £399 here in the UK. In terms of availability, both of these you can pre-order them from the 17th of October, and they are going to be available soon. So the iPad Air 2, you're looking at end of October, so from next week, whereas with the Google Nexus 9 it's beginning of November, so you're going to be able to get hold of the iPad Air 2 quicker compared to the Google Nexus 9, but the Google Nexus 9 is coming in cheaper compared to the iPad Air 2. So those are the key differences between the iPad Air 2 and the Google Nexus 9. I think both are offering some great features, and it's great to see that we've got both the stock experiences from the manufacturers here. So you've got Google and Apple the way they are intended to be. Which do you think is better? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV. and I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. If you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below. Okay, if you're still watching, then that means you've not done one of those things, so no. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go downstairs. See. Okay. There isn't really a downstairs. Anyway, so yeah.